I have recorded my sermon previously for you all. I am a very visual person. I appreciate visuals, and I hope you enjoy the sermon today with all the visuals I have prepared for you. We are going to be talking about savoring and serving life. So hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you back afterwards. Hello, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Mariela. I use the Reverend in front of my name, not because I'm a Reverend, although I am, after 3 years of seminary and a lengthy process of ordination, but I use Reverend as a verb because I have the deepest reverence for life. I first experienced reverence around the age of 5, when in the midst of a hurricane in the makeshift home where I grew up in Cuba, I looked outside through a crack on a wall, and I was taken, just completely taken by the power, the force, the sheer force of those winds. It was my first experience of awe. I never forgot the rush of energy in my little body, that feeling of fright, but also amazement, feeling so small in the presence of something so powerful and so big, but also feeling deep reverence at its tremendous power and beauty. Awe and wonder have that effect on us. They activate a current inside our bodies that makes us feel more alive and more connected to life and to the universe. I am a reverent because I feel that deep reverence for life, for that life force that moves through hurricanes and through you and through me. The second story comes from my first year of seminary, when I was working as a chaplain at a hospital. And one day when I was outside, a nurse asked me about my denomination, and I said, I'm a Unitarian Universalist. And she said, I never heard of that. Are you a Christian? I'm not, I said. Then what do you believe in? She asked me. I pointed to a dandelion growing through a crack in the sidewalk, and I said to her, I believe in the life force that makes a dandelion grow through a crack in a sidewalk. I believe in that resilient life force, that almost stubborn life force. I mean, what are the chances of that dandelion growing from down there with such little soil, such little light, and so much cement oppressing it? I believe in that life force, I told her. It is the same life force that makes all of this possible. The sunbeams coming through the trees, the air we breathe, the food we eat. Yes, I believe in that life force. That life force that runs through hurricanes and through dandelions and through every living thing on this planet, including you and me. I am actually fascinated by this life force and how it expresses itself authentically through each one of us. I see our soul as a seed or a bulb that life plants to express itself here on earth. For us to grow and flourish, the people around us are responsible to create the right conditions. And then we must do the same for others. This is our social responsibility, to create the right condition for the flourishing of all of life. Each one of us has our very own life-giving nature, and each one of us has the impulse to develop according to that true nature. The seed at the core of our being is our genetic code, our very own blueprint to follow, which has been passed down through a long lineage of ancestors. And just like this bulb must grow into a tulip, and this acorn must grow into a tree, and this tiny seed must grow into cilantro, and this one into broccoli. Similarly, the life force inside each of us is relentless, and it wants to grow according to its own nature. Each one of us has this impulse to grow into our own personhood, to express itself the way that God or life or nature or spirit or the universe intended. Ideally, the people around us create the right conditions for us to develop according to our true nature, according to the seed at the core of our being, not the way they want to shape us. Other people in our community want to shape us. When fully grown, the tulips give their beauty, and the oak gives its shade, and the cilantro adds delicious flavor to our food, and the broccoli gives us calcium to have strong bones. And that is how I understand the web of life. Each thing plays a role, supporting one another, supporting life itself, life giving life to itself. That's why we are here, I believe. To give of our authentic expression, to serve the whole web of life, because everything plays a role in the ecosystem. But injustices get in the way of that flourishing, the flourishing we need to serve the world. Society is built in such a way, our society is built in such a way that it doesn't provide the right conditions for everyone's seed to flourish. In fact, our society in this country runs and operates by systems that are oppressive to that life force. These are not natural systems. They are human-made systems that I call extractive systems, because how they can suck the life out of us and out of every living thing if we are not careful. They are actually self-destructing systems. But since they are human-made, they can be changed. That's the good news. These systems operate in our larger society, but also in our schools, in our institutions, in our families, and inside ourselves as well. And so the question I constantly ask myself is this: is this life-giving? Is this life-giving to me or to others? Is this constant sense of urgency, this go, 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 where I can't even catch my breath, is this life-giving? No, it isn't. Are my prejudices life-giving? No, they're not. Is buying the largest house I can afford and isolating myself in there life-giving to myself or to others? It is not. Those are the questions I try to ask myself, to make sure I'm orienting myself towards life and not towards capitalism and those systems that oppress my life force and the life force of so many others. I believe, beloveds, that if we are to heal ourselves, our society, and our planet, we need to adopt better social systems that protect all of life. Because the systems that rob us of our life force also extracts life from Pachamama, Mother Earth, Madre Tierra. I'm interested in oppression and repression and depression, because these lived experiences has made me understand how they are all connected. How capitalism, the patriarchy, white supremacy, the desecration of the earth, the disrespect and violence towards women, ableism, racism, transphobia, and so on and so forth are all related and are all harmful to our society and to ourselves as individuals, as well as to the earth. It's important for us to look at these systems, to really look at them and see how they extract our life force. And I think we also need to find and embrace the opposite desperately, urgently. What are the teachings, beloved? What are the theologies, the practices, the lifestyles that are life-giving, that create the proper environment for the flourishing of life inside ourselves and throughout the rest of the web of life? Even before the pandemic, many of us were already feeling disconnected overworked, and depleted. Our bodies were exhausted from living in one of the most overworked and industrialized nations in the world. In a society that demands so much from us, that takes so much from us. And then with the pandemic, our inner resources were depleted even more. So what do we do now? What do we do now? How can we replenish our low resources? How can we regain our vitality? How can we bounce back after the pandemic, but not go back to the unhealthy habits that were causing so much harm to ourselves and to the earth? As a person who has lived under multiple oppressions, and as a minister whose purpose is to alleviate suffering and to awaken the love that is possible in this world, as Mark Nepo says, to awaken the love that is possible in this world, I want to share this framework with you. It's a framework I call savoring and serving. Savoring life and serving life. Savoring as a way of seeing how life loves us, how we are connected to it, and serving as a way of giving back to the web of life, of loving the web of life. Savoring really is all about mindfulness, about paying attention to what is in front of us and what emerges through us. Savoring is all about using our senses, or coming home to our senses. And this often begins with wonder. I wonder if the mangoes are ready to eat now. They're on the kitchen counter and they smell like paradise. You see, savoring mangoes, which reminds me of my childhood in Cuba, has been a coping mechanism during this pandemic. So I wonder which intelligence designed 10,000 taste buds on our tongues for our savoring pleasure. I wonder how photosynthesis works, how the mango is able to use the energy from the sun coming through the window and it converts it into sugar to give me energy, to give me vitality, to give me this little bit of joy, which helps me get through a pandemic. Savoring is also about intimacy with our bodies and our feelings. Being able to recognize when our bodies are depleted, when our life force is faint. It's also about emotional intelligence, being able to identify and name and be present with our repressed emotions in order to heal them. Savor is about getting intimate with the life force that moves through you and that it moves through the world. But with this life force that moves through us and that wants to express itself in the world, to be of service to the world. And then on this other side of the infinity symbol, we have serving life, which is about giving back to the web of life. Serving is also about getting proximate to situations that are not as sweet as a mango, but that are still very much part of life and that need our attention. Serving is about wonder too. I wonder about the life of my neighbors. I wonder about the experiences of my Black friends. I wonder what it's like to transition from one gender to another. I wonder what it's like down at the border, and I get proximate, I get closer as a practice. I use wonder as a posture in life, as an orientation towards life, understanding life better, my life force and the life force of others. Serving is about working in service of that life force that moves through us and that wants to express itself in the world. And it's also about creating the right conditions for all of creation to grow and flourish according to their true nature, according to the seed at the core of their being. Just as I see the earth as sacred not because it is omnipotent, but because it is vulnerable and precious and of tremendous value to us. I see our souls, the seed at the core of our being, the same way, that they are sacred and vulnerable and precious, and they need our attention. We haven't paid attention to our soul enough in this society. I have the deepest reverence for life and for that life force that runs through you and through every living thing. So, savoring and serving, I find more balance in my life when I practice both, when I'm in this flow from one side to the other. If I savor too much, I become selfish. It's all about me and my hunger and my appetite for life. I want to consume and to consume. And we know what overconsumption does, what greed does, what kind of harm it does to the web of life. But if I serve too much, I get depleted and I lose touch with the core of my being. I believe that for our resilience and for our flourishing, we need to balance the existential agonies with the ecstasies. And a framework such as savoring and serving can help us find that healing balance. All of this is what my journey with multiple oppressions have taught me. This is what I know as a descendant of my Caribbean ancestors. And this is my invitation to you. May you cultivate wonder and reverence. May you savor and serve. May you tap into your life force. May you help others do the same as a way of healing ourselves and the planet, as a spiritual practice, as a social responsibility, and as a way of giving back to the whole web of life. May it be so.